You're with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
Let's walk the talk. Streaming on the Prime Media Plus app.
DSTV channel 856.
92.7 and 106 FM.
8 minutes after 9 o'clock. Dumelang, happy Monday. Welcome to the Clement Manyathela Show. It's wonderful to have you with us here on 702. I hope you're good this morning. I hope you had a wonderful weekend. We're live to you this morning from Durban in KwaZulu-Natal. We're actually at the Albert Luthuli International Convention Center, popularly known as the Durban ICC, for the highly anticipated Resurgence conference. It's being held under the theme, A Thicker Slice of the Economic Pie, Access, Connect, Thrive. And it's a program today that's going to include an international exhibition and business-to-business engagements aimed really at advancing trade and investments. So we have some entrepreneurs here. We've got investors, the clergy, creatives. There are some change makers from across Africa, the United States, the Caribbean, and just the global diaspora, all of them here to foster economic empowerment, collaboration, and I suppose opportunity. And speaking of opportunity, I always take advantage of my presence here in Durban and, of course, the incredible weather to do things that I love, right? So I managed to go out golfing yesterday. I played golf at the Zimbali golf course. I also managed to go for a run by the promenade this morning. And I was surprised to see so many people on the beach at 6 a.m. Is that like a thing in coastal areas? And I didn't expect to see so many people on the beach, basking at the rising sun and swimming, you know. But I loved it for them. But I really asked myself, and I asked one of the guys, hey, why are there so many people at 6 a.m. here? And the guy said, well, it's because security has actually increased here in Durban. Back in the day, you wouldn't be able to do this. But now, there's better security. Like the beaches are clean again. So people are loving that. And I wonder if that is something you do. Have you ever gone to a beach at 6 in the morning and you're basking at the rising sun? It's not something that really happens in coastal cities. Something else that I saw were people collecting ocean water in their 2-liter bottles. And I know, of course, there are some legal restrictions around that. But what interested me was the fact that lots of people still do that. Remember, it was a big thing back in the day, especially for us who were far from coastal areas. Whenever we would go to the beach, we would return with ocean water. I don't even remember what we used to use that water for. But my uncle actually spoke to an uncle of mine from the village last week, and he asked me to bring him some of the water whenever I go to the coastal cities. And I asked, what do you do with this water? And he said, when they were growing up, apparently they used to bath with some of that water. So they would have some drops of ocean water in their bathtubs. Do you remember what you used to do with ocean water? What you used it for? 011-883-0702 is the number to dial. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. As expected, Helen Zille was announced as the DA's mayoral candidate for the city of Johannesburg. How do you feel about that, 702 family? How do you feel? And look, there's no question about it, right? We need an administration or leadership that can change the misfortunes of the city. I mean, the question, I suppose, for me is Helen Zille the person that can lead the administration of to Johannesburg's new future? I mean, take the city of Johannesburg, for instance. Let's be honest, guys. That place used to be a melting pot of cultures and languages. It was a vibrant city. Johannesburg was once a shining gem among South African cities. The CBD was a bustling hub of commerce, of culture, of innovation. But over the past few decades, it's experienced a saddening decline. I mean, for the last 3 decades, you can see that noticeable decline, not only in business, but you've got residents and wealth that has left the city for the northern suburbs. They're leaving the inner city that's dilapidated, it's bursting with crime and neglect. I mean, look at areas like the CBD, the Hillbrow, Berea, Yeoville, Jeppestown, Joubert Park, Denver, Selby. I can go on and on. Doornfontein. These places are the shadows of their former self. Service delivery in other areas around Johannesburg has been declining too. So a lot needs to be done to change things around. So what do you think of Helen Zille as a mayoral candidate? Who do you think can put up a tough challenge for Helen Zille? I think Action SA's Helen Mashaba can probably do that, and I don't know if you agree with that. Imagine if we have Helen Mashaba from Action SA joining and becoming a mayoral candidate for Action SA. Imagine Helen Zille versus Helen Mashaba versus Songezo Zibi. Yeah? Imagine from Rise Mzansi. Or maybe even bring in Pakstau. I mean, who could be a strong candidate for the ANC to go head-to-head with Helen Zille? Because say what you say about Helen Zille, but that's a woman who really just wants to do the job. And I think that's what a lot of Johannesburg residents want. Someone who's just going to get in there and just do the job. Is not interested in wanting to steal, in wanting to benefit for themselves or their organization. They want someone who's going to do the job. So who do you think could be a strong contender then for Helen Zille? I think if it's Helen Zille, Helen Mashaba, maybe you bring in Pakstau from the ANC. I can't think of anybody else. Or maybe even Khosi Ensu, but that's probably not going to work. He's from Tshwane, and you know how the ANC feels about that, having seen what we saw the last time with Togo Didiza. But imagine Helen Mashaba, Helen Zille, Songezo Zibi, and maybe you bring in Pakstau. And then from the EFF, bring in a strong contender too. Who would you bring from the EFF? Wouldn't that be fun for us as voters, spoiled for choice, as parties pull out and pull up their big guns for Johannesburg? Give me a call about that or send me a WhatsApp voice note. At 10 o'clock, we're going to speak to the mayor of Johannesburg, Dada Morero. Parliament has given him and Joburg Water about 14 days to present concrete solutions to alleviate the ongoing water supply disruptions that have left many residents without water for prolonged periods. So he speaks to us at 10. At 10:30, we're going to continue with the new series that we started last week, one that's been suggested by one of our listeners. We call it actually Things That Science Can't Explain. And last week we looked at witchcraft, and today we are going to be discussing manifestation. Because while the concept of manifestation may be scientifically proven, there's evidence. Like, I don't think it can be scientifically proven, but there is evidence supporting the impact of positive thinking, of visualization, and the influence of the nervous system on our experiences. So I'm interested to learn more about manifestation when we start that at 11 or at 10:30, and then we're going to wrap up the show at 11 o'clock with our Family Matters feature. Today we're discussing the empty nest syndrome. You know what that is? It's that grief that many parents feel when their children move out of home, and they just feel so sad and so lonely because they were so used to having you in the house and you're no longer there. That's why they often complain that you don't come home as often as you should be. So Dr. Tumi Mashego is a clinical psychologist who is going to help us understand and unpack what this transition truly means for especially our parents, more so our mothers, and how families can embrace this transition with resilience and hope. That's the show coming up over the next 3 hours.
The Clement Manyathela Show.
Live at the 2025 Resurgence Conference, Durban. Durban is open for business.
Okay, we're taking your calls on 011-883-0702. So let me start with your calls, and I'll come back to your WhatsApp voice notes on 072-702-1702. Lehlogonolo, let's start with you. You're calling us from Midrand. Good morning. Go ahead.
Morning, Mecha.
Sure.
Yes, Mecha. Koko Helene at Adulerai. She must stay at home and raise grandkids. Cape Town, when she was a mayor in Cape Town, it showed her flames, and even still now, it's still showing DA flames. Cape Town, they couldn't sort out all this shenanigans in Manenberg, in Kaelicha, and in Langa. Those places are even worse under the DA administration. And what I feel like Herman was not given enough chance. You know, I feel like Helen had his hand tied behind his back when he was a mayor. If you free Helen's hands like Nasipa's hands has been freed, you will see amazing things from this gentleman. I still say bring back Herman. Bring him back. No, Herman, please, no Helen. Yeah. Bring back Herman Mashaba. Yeah, with freed hands, and you will see amazing things from this gentleman, Madimeja. As for my party, I really don't think we've got a strong candidate to stand in Gauteng. I was looking at our chairperson over the weekend, and I was like, we're not gonna get that 15%, over that 15% with this such thing happening. But let's say bring back Mashaba. I say bring back Mashaba.
Okay,
let's
got
see
you.
what Mashaba can do. Yeah.
All right, Lihlawanolo in Midrand, got you. Lihlawanolo says Herman Mashaba could be a strong contender for Helen Zille. What do you think? I agree with Lihlawanolo. I think bring in Herman, bring in Helen. There are some people saying, Songezo, not sure about him. I do think that there are a lot of people that have voted for him from in and around Johannesburg. I think also from the ANC. It's still the biggest party in the country, isn't it? Who could be the strong contender from the African National Congress to go head-to-head with Helen Zille? Martin, you're calling us from Soweto. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning, gentlemen. I just told your producer that I'm giving Helen Zille a nod because Helen Zille has never presided over Johannesburg. ANC has been in power for the past 31 years. They've been puffing and huffing, and then look at the state of Johannesburg. Johannesburg used to be a role model city, a world-class city under the previous regime. You are speaking to a man of 66 years old. You have seen it all. I worked there in Johannesburg, Frederick Small Street. It used to be a New York of South Africa. But since the ANC took over, the city has deteriorated to such an extent that even our townships are much, much better than Johannesburg. They were to be. Because these people they have failed us dismally. They have nothing they are going to bring after being there for the past 81 years. And nodding for Helen Zille to women, the mayor of Johannesburg. Thanks a lot.
Martin in Soweto, thank you. And that's really, remember we had this conversation about, when was it? Was it a week or 2 weeks ago? When I was asking you if you are one of those that vote for a different party at national level and vote for a different party during the local government elections. A lot of you who called in said that's exactly what you do. Because at local level, you don't worry too much about ideology and policy. You literally just focus on bread and butter. Am I going to get water? Am I going to have a councillor that is responsive? Am I not going to have to buy new tires every single year because I'm driving into potholes? And let me actually ask this question again. What matters most to you, right? When you decide who to vote for, do you look at local issues, your bread and butter issues, or do you consider ideological positions for the parties or the candidates that you're voting for? Like, some people I have spoken to in my circle are saying, I'm conflicted about Helen Zille. Some of them are saying they're confident that she can probably make an impact in Johannesburg because she's got nothing to lose. She wants to get working. But then they are concerned about statements that she has made about issues pertaining to race or her position on the war on Gaza, for instance. And she has no filter. That's the thing. Helen has no filter. So she could sabotage her own campaign with some of the statements that she makes. And that would upset the black middle class in particular that want to give her a chance. So is it pragmatic governance for you over ideology? Because I believe the service delivery failures are really in the city, are what will ultimately drive us as voters towards whatever party with the strongest governance track record. Let's go to your WhatsApps now on 072-702-1702.
Morning, Clement. My thing is yes, it's sad that we have to now have somebody. I believe, I'm a young person myself, so I believe that young people should take the charge. I believe that young people should be. We have a lot of young people who are qualified to lead Joburg, but at this point, with the decades of decaying infrastructure in Johannesburg, like you outlined, if it will take Helen Zille to sort it out, yeah, then so be it. So I don't care about race and age and all of that, but at this point, if I would have preferred a younger person, but if it'll take her to right the wrongs, then so be it. Prince Petroji.
Morning, Clement, and all the listeners. I agree with you that look, I don't agree with a lot of what Helen Zille stands for, but I do think that she could actually get the job done. She is a very focused person, and yes, Mashaba should actually compete as well. That's where I stand, Mandla Jumiston. Thank you.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
All right, it's 26 minutes after 9 o'clock. We're live to you from KwaZulu-Natal in Durban. We're here at the Albert Luthuli International Convention Center for the highly anticipated Resurgence Conference. Durban is hosting it this year, and it's really a platform driving collaboration, innovation, and investment. I'm going to be coming back to your calls in a moment, but I want to bring in now Mr. Lihle Pewa, who is an Economic Development Executive Director at eThekwini Municipality. Mr. Pewa, thank you so much for speaking to us. Good morning.
Good morning to you, and good morning to your listeners.
Let's look at what we can expect from this Resurgence Conference. It aims to inspire long-term collaboration between government, the private sector, the global partners. How does it intend on doing that?
Yes, thank you indeed. The 2025 Resurgence Conference is about action. It brings together government, business, and global partners, to form real partnerships that drive growth. And over the next few days, delegates will be able to connect to capital and opportunities, through, business-to-business sessions, as well as targeted networking and investment showcases. Mm-hmm. So this year, we have over 800 delegates, including 200 international participants, from the US, the Caribbean, as well as across, Africa. We'll be focusing on accelerating inclusive growth, ensuring that women, youth and entrepreneurs, have a bigger stake in the economy.
Yeah, and when you look at the investment opportunities, what are some of those that currently exist within Durban, and what are the strategies that as a municipality you're implementing to attract local and international investors?
Yes, Durban has over 217 billion, worth of catalytic projects that are underway. That includes industrial hubs and, a world-class, marina. These projects will create more than 300,000 construction jobs and about 120,000 permanent jobs. So we have streamlined processes, through our Catalytic Projects Directorate, to make sure that things move, faster, from an approval, point of view. Mm-hmm. And over and above that, we have introduced targeted incentives, to make Durban investor ready. So upgrades to, the Rivertown precinct as an example in the inner city, is testimony, that Durban is serious about creating, a safe, vibrant environment, for business and tourism to thrive.
Yeah, I was telling the listeners that when I went running this morning at 6 a.m., there were already people on the beach, and some of them said, we can do this now because it's safe.
Indeed.
Now, we never used to do this at some point in Durban. When you look at last year's Resurgence Conference, though, what were some of the most significant outcomes for Durban, whether economically or even just in terms of the reputation of the city?
Last year's inaugural conference, was able to inject about 82 million rands directly, into the Durban's economy, and contributed over 200 million, to the GDP. It created about 367 jobs across the value chain and strengthened Durban's profile as a, hub for trade and innovation. Mentorship programs, linked local entrepreneurs with international leaders, opening global markets for Durban's creative and hospitality industries. So it was able to, we were able to demonstrate, that Durban can host world-class events, with lasting impact.
Well, Mr. Pewa, thank you so much for chatting to us, and all the best with the conference.
Thank you very much, and thanks for having us.
So Mr. Pewa is with the Economic Development. In fact, he's the executive director at eThekwini Municipality.
You're listening to the Clement Manyathela Show, live at the 2025 Resurgence Conference Durban on 702.
25 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let's go straight to your calls on 011-883-0702. The WhatsApp line is 072-702-1702. One person sent a message on the WhatsApp line and says, Clement, the reason we used to take ocean water and take it in bottles back home is because we believe that it protects us from evil people. Is that really the case? Is that why you have taken ocean water before and took it home? I don't remember why we did that. I know that my uncle has asked me to do that, and it's very difficult to explain the legal limitations around that. But I'm really interested in what did we used to use the water for? And I've asked you this question because when I went running this morning in Durban at 6 a.m., I did see people with 2-liter water bottles collecting the water from the ocean. What did we used to use that for? What do we still use that for? Do you put drops of that in your bathtub? Let me know. You can call or send us a WhatsApp voice note on that. I've also been asking you about Helen Zille. As expected, she's been announced as the DA's mayoral candidate. And I think that we should be spoiled for choice just once in our lifetime here in Johannesburg. So imagine we've got strong contenders for this. And I want to know who you think those strong contenders could be. So far, what I'm picking up a lot is that Helen Mashaba's name is coming up a lot. I agree that if Helen Mashaba would probably be a strong contender to go head-to-head with Helen Zille, you need a strong candidate from the ANC. I'm suggesting to you that maybe bring in Pakstau, because some were confident and were happy with how he led Johannesburg. Not everybody was happy with him. I don't know. Is the EFF a player in Gauteng like that, in that you think they could bring in a strong candidate who would be able to convince you as a voter to really vote for them to a point that they would get a majority in this province? I'm not sure about that. But I think when you look at how Action SA performed in the last local government elections, and you look at how Helen Mashaba's popularity levels were, or favorability levels, he probably is a better chance. Who else do you bring up here? Do we bring up Songezo Zibi? Let me know. 011-883-0702. Let's start with Mahlatsi in Midrand. Mahlatsi, go ahead. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. On a lighter note, before we go into it, you know, when you're in Durban, I'm not a runner, but when I'm in Durban, I wear my shorts. I also run. I don't know why, but you just have to run.
You want to run by the ocean, Jay? Yeah, it's nicer to run by the ocean.
But then, Clement, I think Helen Zille is gonna get it, and. If you have listened to how we have been going on and on 702, you can listen. When you listen, you can hear, you can hear people are no longer happy with these other people. They're no longer happy. With ANC. ANC must just forget. They must just forget. They will not get it. Not this time. Yes, you brought in Helen. Helen worked. He really worked. But his weight, is it strong enough to go against Helen Zille? I am not so sure. Because with me sitting here and looking how things have been done and how people have been chowing money and we've been suffering and all that, I would also say we need change. We need somebody who would bring stability, who would bring order, who would change things differently. And I'm telling you, the day they say Helen is coming through, you will remember me. The resignations that we're going to have on the day, you'll phone me back, I'm telling you.
Okay. All right, Mahlatsi in Midrand. Let's wait and see if that would be the case. Tembile, you are in Centurion. What are your thoughts?
Hey, Clement. Good morning. How are you?
Sure, man. Go ahead.
Good. Yeah, I was born in Cape Town. I grew up in Cape Town. I relocated 22 years ago. I still go to Cape Town. I have a home in London. I can tell you now, Clement, nothing that the government of DA has done for the townships there in London. Cape Town. Langa, Gude, to New Cross, Khayelitsha. I was listening to Helen talking to Bongane and saying that Khayelitsha has got a bigger budget than Kempsburg. That's not true.
Yeah.
Look at the town.
He said that the city of Cape Town, they spend more money on Khayelitsha than they do on Camps Bay, for instance. And she did explain that the people in Camps Bay are spending, they pay more money in whether it's rates and taxes, which then alleviates the pressure on the side of government.
Listen to what the city of Cape Town has done recently. Clement, sorry, man. 2 months ago, there's a school in Langa called Masa. They moved people, squatter camps, and go and tell them to build those squatter camps in a schoolyard. How do you move people? No one has written anything. I've not read about this, but it happened in Langa. If you were to investigate the city of Cape Town moving people into a schoolyard, that's the government of DA. They've not done nothing for the people in the townships. The townships, when I was living there 20-something years ago, it was 10 times better than it is today. It is very bad. People are excited. They must come. There's nothing they're going to do for Garankuwa, Mabopane, all these townships in Gauteng. They're not going to do nothing for them.
Okay, Tembile in Centurion, thank you for your thoughts. Malusi, you are in the Johannesburg CBD. What do you think? Hi.
Lochani, Clement.
Lochan, Ninja.
CBD. Right. Yeah, tell me. From 2024, 2004, and I've seen Joburg deteriorating day by day, year by year. But ever since Mashaba took over, I saw a radical change. Joburg started to be clean, Joburg started to be safe, and ever since that man climbed that, sat on that street, I never saw even a single kid striking for student accommodation. There are a whole lot of things that he did in Johannesburg and the change that he came with and stuff. And I think he stands a better chance to lead, and people should give him another chance as opposed to Helen Zille or DA, if ever may put it that way. They had a chance to lead Pretoria, and there's nothing that they did. There's no change, there's nothing. But with Helen, there is an evidence. Yeah. And I think you guys called him and interviewed him during his 100 days, and even during his time, the time when he exited. And he was able to talk about things that you can see, things that you can touch. So,
okay, and that's what matters, right? Especially when you look at 100 days, is what can you show us? Show us what you've been able to do. But okay, Malusi in the Johannesburg CBD, thank you so much for your thoughts. Look, Action SA hasn't announced yet who is going to be their mayoral candidate for Johannesburg. I think Funzi Ngobeni's name was probably considered at some point, I'm not sure, but I think he's like the leader of Action SA in Gauteng, if I'm not mistaken. But, let's be honest, and I really like Funzi Ngobeni, but if you're going to put up Helen Zille, as Action SA, if you are serious about putting up a strong contender, then the best person to put up is really Herman Mashaba. Who else in Action SA do you put up? And that's the thing about what the DA has done is the parties are now scrambling to find the strongest candidates they can put up. Even the African National Congress. Who are you going to put up? Who do you put up against Helen Zille? Because again, say what you say about Helen, that woman is interested in just doing the work. And isn't that what a lot of people in Johannesburg have been saying? And yeah, you've got other people who say, I'm not happy with how the DA has served townships and informal settlements in and around Cape Town. And therefore, I don't believe that there's going to be changes in other areas except in the suburban areas. You've got other people who say, I'm worried about this woman's ideological positioning, the things that she said about issues around race, her views on the war on Gaza perhaps, which is why I asked you earlier, do you care much about ideological positioning, or do you really care about the bread and butter issues when you are voting in the local government elections? Ratang, you are in Cape Town. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you, Clement?
Sure, man. Go ahead.
Good sharp. Yeah. Now, I've been in Cape Town, Clement. So, Guguletu, Khayelitsha, Langa, Delft. So, they are very dangerous places. And I first saw people fighting with guns when I arrived in Cape Town. a group of people from Suburban and Leiden. They were fighting in guns, and I was standing at the door looking at guys fighting with guns. I've been in Pretoria. I've never saw that before. So, to me, I think I will opt for Herman Mashaba instead of Helen Zille. Yeah.
Okay. Ratang, in Cape Town. So finish your point.
Okay. Yeah, and then, no, I was saying on the ANC side, I don't think there's anyone that can come through. And then the EFF, I think on the EFF, the only problem that the EFF must realize is people want them to do what they want, not what the EFF wants to do. Until they realize that, then they will know that people can actually vote for them. Because them doing what they want is not going to help. People are crying now. They don't have jobs. They're crying about foreigners. I stayed in Sunnyside. Staying with those people there, it's very bad. I once went to Sunnyside police station, go and report drugs. When I come back, already they point me with fingers. They're saying, you're talking too much. And I realized that this thing is very bad.
Yeah, you need someone who really is going to penetrate through a number of challenges in this city. Ratang, in Cape Town, thank you so much for your call.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
It's 12 minutes before 10 o'clock. Let me read just 3 quick text messages here about the question I asked about seawater. Like, what did you take ocean water for? Suna on the WhatsApp line says, Clement, I used to bring ocean water whenever I'm traveling for my domestic worker, and she told me that it was for constipation or upset stomach. Another one says, hi Clement, seawater was believed to carry purifying power. People may bath with it, drink small amounts of it mixed with herbs, or sprinkle it in the home. It's thought to wash away bad luck, spiritual blockages, or negative energy, I believe. And then another one says, Clement, we used to use seawater to purge out stomach. I would not drink seawater these days as I'm not sure of the E. coli levels, just like I would not baptize people in most of our waters. That's a message there from Nick. Thank you so much for responding to that, because I really was interested in what do we actually use water like that for. It's 10 minutes now before 10 o'clock.
Your voice.
Your station.
Your open line.
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela
on 702.
So, as you know, we've been telling you about the Resurgence conference. This is why we're broadcasting from the Chief Albert Lutuli International Convention Center this morning, because this is where the conference is taking place. And we've got the United States Resurgence convener, Reverend Dennis Dillon, who is joining us here in our makeshift studio. Mr. Dillon, thank you so much for your time. Good morning.
A pleasant good morning to you, and my pleasure being here. And it's great to be in Durban, and it's good to be with you.
Wonderful. Let's talk about the origin of a conference like this, the purpose and the vision for the Resurgence conference. How did it begin?
I think as the name suggests, resurgence, it means something is coming back that was literally here before. And of course we know that Africa and African people has always been a people of power, people of wealth, a people of greatness and strength. We've lost much of this, with the enslavement of the African, the colonization of Africa. And we're simply saying there needs to be an economic resurgence, and that's really what the concept is all about. And we believe to truly effectively make this happen, there has to be this reemergence, this coming back together of the Africa world, if you will. So Africans in the diaspora coming together with Africa, the continent itself, and Africans in the continent, so that we could move forward economically. So that's what it's all about.
What can people expect at this year's conference? What is the value for the business people that are here, the entrepreneurs, the change makers? How does the conference connect everybody else to ensure that resurgence you speak of?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really what it's all about. That's why we're bringing investors from the U.S. At the end of the day, we want to say invest in SMEs in Durban, invest in small businesses in South Africa and certainly on the African continent. We're certainly here because we've actually brought some experts to also help those who are here in South Africa, in Durban, to look at invest abroad as as well. If we look at the growing economies in the world, take a place like South Korea as an example, and what has allowed them to grow so well is because they have actually taken themselves, and they have actually, governments have actually sent members of their communities abroad to invest and to do business. So we believe that this bicontinental connection between the North American continent, if you will, the South American continent, along with, of course, the continent of Africa, is going to help fuel and spark this, what I call a global African economic renaissance, which I think is critical for the African people in this time and in this season.
That's great, because then that level of investment is on both sides. Are there opportunities here for capital contracts? So are you going to have rooms where people come and sit and discuss the deals? Like, how does it work? How do people connect when they're inside the auditorium?
Yeah, absolutely. And I need to make the point, and I'm grateful that there's an organization here on the ground called the African Global Network, who have actually been appointed by both ourselves in the U.S. and the city of Durban to ensure that there are takeaways. We just don't want to be in a room talking and no deals are happening. We want to make sure that we're doing business. For instance, last year we brought in one of the big restaurateurs in the U.S., celebrity chef Melba Wilson. At the end of the day, she connected with another chef in Durban, South Africa, Mushroom Lounge. They've been exchanging, doing business together. We're believing that soon there'll be some mushroom lounges in New York, and hopefully some Melba restaurants in Durban, South Africa. That's the kind of stuff that we're doing. So in these rooms, we've actually put together an investment team under the leadership of Achumboro Atande, top lawyer, serial entrepreneur and investor. He's here. And again, we're going to make sure that in the room we're looking at those who are looking for partnerships, because we believe what's going to move black people across the globe forward, and particularly here in Durban and South Africa, is the ability to find other black people that you can do business with outside of your own jurisdiction, outside of your own country. Those partnerships are critical. That's what have moved so many other countries forward, and we believe it's key to move South Africa and certainly Durban forward as well.
Reverend Dennis Dillon, thank you so much for speaking to us, and all the best.
God bless you, sir, and enjoy your day.
It's 5 minutes now before 10 o'clock.
Your voice,
Your station.
your open line
Walk the talk with Clement Manyathela.
on 702.
Oh, straight back to your calls now on 011-883-0702. Let's start with you, Banele in Fourways. Good morning.
Good morning, Clement. And I just wanted to quickly throw a spanner in the works. What about Bongani Baloyi?
Okay.
I mean, he did well at Midval, local municipality. I think he's currently
still around?
with MK Party. I've seen him a couple of times with the MK
I really
Party,
asked that
head of
respectfully.
organizing. Yeah?
Because he left he was with the DA, right? And then he went to join Action SA. And then he left Action SA. He started
Then
his
he went
own
to Shiluva.
party. And then he left. And then Shiluva. And then he went to MK Party.
MK,
And then I just lost him somewhere there. Okay,
Yeah,
it's
he's
good to
still
see
with
that
the
he's still
MK Party.
there.
Yeah, he's still with the MK Party. I think he's the head of
You
the head of organizing. If I'm not
You
mistaken.
think he's
I mean,
strong
I've seen him
enough
at a
to
couple
go
of-
head to head with Helen Zille?
I mean, who knows? I mean, the guy did pretty well when he was at Midval. He knows Gauteng pretty well. He's young. He's energetic. I think he could possibly pull it off. And the MK Party doesn't have a bad sort of horrible support in Gauteng itself or in Johannesburg itself. So they could ultimately surprise in terms of the
Yeah.
numbers that they ultimately get there.
Yeah, it wasn't. They didn't do as best, really. I mean, this is going to be the first time the MK Party, I think, contests the local government elections. But when you look at the national elections, I mean, they did really well in KwaZulu-Natal. I think Mpumalanga was their second best performing conference, if I'm not mistaken. But hey, who knows? Maybe things have changed and they've managed to garner a lot of support on the ground in Gauteng. So Banele is throwing in the name of Bongani Baloyi. If you still remember him, remember he was the mayor of Midval. And he really just cared about doing the work. He's one of those people who just wanted to do the job. Hey? Max, you're in Naturena. Hi.
Clement, how are you?
Sure. Go ahead.
Clement, for me, I'd really ask and beg of you to just call or open up for people from Cape Town to actually tell you our living conditions in Cape Town. I moved to Johannesburg 6 years ago, and I can tell you I'm in heaven. I know it's not the best, but compared to what I come from in Khayelitsha, there is nothing that the DA does for us in the townships. It is appalling, it is sad, and you'll be super surprised. Thank you, Clement.
Yeah, look, Max, people have been calling, hey? You'd be surprised. We got a call, was it last week? We got a call, some calls last week from people who are staying in other townships in the Western Cape. I remember one specific call, Ilanga, in Elanga. Langa, a gentleman called who says, I live in Langa, and I can tell you, I have seen how much the DA invests in our township. And what he said he's happy about is that the projects that the DA invests in, they get completed. And he said that's a different story when you come to some areas there in Gauteng. So this is coming from different sides. There are some people, yes, who are saying that our experience is different living in townships in the Western Cape, in and around the city of Cape Town. But you've got other people who call in and say, well, actually, this is much better. We can see work being done here compared to the stories we often hear about there in Gauteng. It's 2 minutes now before 10 o'clock.